Slovakia International. Slovakia Today.
It's Thursday, February 18th, and I'm Katarina Richterová.
This is RSI News.
Slovakia is not yet sure about its stance on UK demands. Education organizations signed joint declaration to be part of manifesto. And Slovakia is to have a single brand for its promotion. Representing Slovakia, Prime Minister Robert Fico is attending an EU summit in Brussels on February 18th and 19th. The summit will concern Britain's conditions for remaining in the EU. Leaders of EU member states are to seek agreement concerning 4 problematic areas in Britain's demands. These areas concern competitiveness, the management of economic matters, sovereignty and social welfare, and the free movement of people. Slovakia doesn't know yet if it will support the deal. We'll wait for the final version of the agreement, said Prime Minister Robert Fico on Monday. On Wednesday, teachers, trade unions and other organizations active in education signed a joint declaration on the sector. They plan to present it to political parties running in the March general election, suggesting it as a basis for the future government manifesto in education. This declaration has one common goal: to persuade the government that will emerge from the general election to finally start dealing with education as a matter of priority, said Teachers Trade Union head Pavel Ondek. Among other points, the declaration contains a demand that all powers involved in running and funding public schools should come exclusively under the remit of the Education Ministry after the election, unlike today, wherein primary and secondary schools come under the regional governments. When it comes to funding, they insist on allocating at least 6% of the GDP by the end of the next electoral term, 2020. Meanwhile, teachers' salaries should be increased in order to reach at least 80% of salaries received by other people with university education by the end of the year 2020. This year, Slovakia will start using a single brand for its presentation abroad. The public will soon find out what it looks like, as its final version was approved by the government on Wednesday. The brand comes from a tender announced by the Foreign Ministry last year. The winning proposal includes a unified logo that will replace all the various logos currently being used by the government office and ministries. The new logo incorporates Slovakia's national emblem, the double-barred cross, the name of the institution in question, and a graphic element that visually differentiates individual levels of state administration. Slovak ministries should start using the new brand by the end of September.
Topical issue.
The possible disintegration of the Schengen area would significantly damage Slovakia's export competitiveness, as it is among the 6 EU countries where foreign trade within the Schengen represents more than 70% of their overall foreign trade balance. According to an analysis released by the unit Credit Bank Czech Republic and Slovakia on Wednesday, the existence of the Schengen area, which Slovakia joined in the year 2007, has contributed to doubling Slovakia's foreign trade over the past 10 years. Schengen allows free cross-border movement of people, goods, services, and capital, so it has significantly contributed towards the emergence of new businesses, tourism development, and retail, and it has helped boost employment in Slovakia. If permanent border checks are reintroduced between countries within the Schengen area, Slovakia will suffer significantly from the inability to transport goods, resulting in a decline in the volume of transported goods. If the exports of basic food and consumer goods drop by 5%, Slovakia's GDP will shrink by 0.3%. The labor market would also suffer, as commutes for many people working across the border would take longer. This could result in a slight unemployment increase in southern Slovakia and the region of Kyselce in northwestern Slovakia, for instance. Welcome to the English broadcast of Radio Slovakia International with your host Martina Šimkovičová and sound technician Stano Krajček. The latest news you heard at the beginning was compiled from the SITA and TASR press agencies. You might already know that our Thursday show is focused on culture. What we have prepared for you today? Well, a tour around the Slovak Parliament at the very beginning, as Slovakia is entering the final 2-week period ahead of the election date.
Dominantnou črtou rokovacej sály je veľký ceremoniálny luster.
The dominant feature of the council hall is the huge ceremonial chandelier. So the culture will come later with a report from the rehearsal of the only professional concert choir in this country.
Once you learn how to survive in a group of 80 people, you'll find all the beauties of this work.
We will tell you why the money the Slovak National Gallery paid for its 2015 acquisition was worth the pay.
I can tell you quite exactly what we paid for the sculpture.
We will briefly speak about the Slovak contribution to the ongoing Berlinale Film Festival.
Ide o mesačník Film.sk.
It's the Film.sk monthly, which we have now published in English for the 4th year.
The listeners enjoy.
Radio Slovakia International.
Ďakujem pani poslankyni Kaliskej. Slovo má pán poslanec Blaško. Pripraví sa pán poslanec Kim.
Národná rada Slovenskej republiky je jediný
The National Council of the Slovak Republic, known as the Slovak Parliament, is the sole constitutional and legislative body of the Slovak Republic. That means it is the only legitimate authority to consider, approve and change legal acts.
na zákonoch a meniť ich.
Pánovi poslancovi.
Explains Boris Balog, a constitutional law expert. Let us invite you to look behind the curtain of the Slovak Parliament. You can learn the way how Slovak legal norms come about.
Nachádzame sa v Národnej rade Slovenskej republiky. Mojím sprievodcom je
Pán Lubomír Fajták, riaditeľ parlamentného inštitútu.
Our colleague from the German section, Elena Weber, enters the rooms of the Slovak Parliament for us, accompanied by Lubomír Fajták, the director of the Parliamentary Institute.
Sme predkladateľnou Národnej rady.
You can listen to them standing right in front of the registry.
Dobrý deň. Takže toto je moment, kedy parlamentný návrh...
So this is the moment when the draft of a law starts its journey. Here it's provided with a number. The date of its delivery is the date when its parliamentary life begins.
Plynúť jeho parlamentný život.
Teraz vstúpame krásnym schodiskom s červeným kobercom kam.
Walking up a beautiful red-carpeted staircase, the director of the Parliamentary Institute took our colleague Elena Weber to the first floor where the rooms of organization departments are located.
Kde získa návrh zákona svoj rodný list.
Where the draft acquires its birth certificate. It's the record of parliamentary prints. It's a big book.
Takže teraz sme konkrétne pozreli návrh zákona, ktorý dostal číslo 1683 25. augusta 2015.
And Elena Weber saw the draft of the legal norm labeled by the number 1683 from the 25th of August 2015. How many similar drafts are proposed in the Parliament daily? A lady from the first floor offices replies.
Ono to nechodí každý deň, ale keď je termín...
We don't receive them every day. Nevertheless, when there is a deadline, there are about 20 proposed by the members of the government, and the number of drafts by the members of parliament ranges from 20 to 60.
Celkové narastol počet tým za jedno.
One way or another, the number has increased. While in one standard election term there are about 600 to 700 drafts coming in, this term recorded over 1,200.
Takže ideme ďalej. Klopeme na legislatívny odbor.
Elena Weber moved on to knock on the door of the legislative department.
Moje meno je Katarína Šimoničová, som riaditeľkou odboru legislatívy a aproximácie.
My name is Katarina Shimonichova, and I am the director of the Legislation and Approximation Department. From receiving the government or members' draft act or acts proposed by committees, we deal with all activities connected with the legislative process at the parliamentary level.
Na úrovni Národnej rady.
This department controls adopted amendments, and after they are approved by the parliament, they take care of publishing the final laws in the codex.
Zmeny zapracúvame do schváleného znenia zákona.
We fit the changes into the approved form of the legal norms. According to the Constitution, the acts are approved in 3 readings. That means the law is approved only after the 3rd reading is finished. Then our department prepares the wording, which follows the form of the norm approved by the members of parliament in the debate.
Bolo schválené poslancami v pléne Národnej rady.
Dôležitou zastávkou na ceste zákona k jeho schváleniu je výbor.
An important moment for the act on its way to being approved is a committee, says Ľubomír Fajták, when entering the office of the Agriculture and Environment Committee.
Dobrý deň.
Dobrý deň, ja som Korček Martin. Na výbore sa hlavne...
Hello, I'm Martin Gorczyk. The whole thing, so to say, happens at the committee after the second reading. Here the MPs present their specific comments to the legislative norm. That means that here we can invite experts not only from ministries but also from real life to explain to us the main idea behind the draft. Many interesting people pay a visit to us ready to discuss the various stages of the law's reinforcement into real life.
Jeho aplikácie do praxe.
One can trace interesting visitors of the Agriculture and Environment Committee of the Slovak Parliament by pictures pinned on a board in its office.
Traktor.
Áno, sú tam fotky traktorov a boli tu zástupcovia Združenia poľnohospodárov.
We had representatives of an agricultural association visiting. They wanted to lobby regarding taxes on diesel.
According to Ľubomír Fajták, such visitors prove that legislative norms are prepared for people.
A tiež, aby bolo zrejme, že zákon...
It should be clear that the law is not only about paragraphs, but also about people, machines, and the life.
Teraz zažíname kde?
Dostávame sa do hlavného miesta, kde na rokovacej Národnej rady.
Ľubomír Fajták shed light on the legislative process to our colleague from the German section, Elena Zebe, and then turned on the light in the main point of the building, the council hall.
Kde ten zákon dostáva konečnú podobu.
It's the place for the debates on the level of the first and also the second and third readings. It's in fact the place where the legal norm becomes finalized.
The parliament is a place of many different opinions that finally meets in only one legal norm. The evidence of this can be seen hung above the heads of all MPs. Lojza Hitlerová, the official guide to the building housing the parliament, explains. The dominant feature of the council hall is the huge ceremonial chandelier. This beautiful piece has been constructed out of a countless number of glass pieces. It's a metaphor of the principle of work performed here in this hall. The little moving pieces represent the flow of ideas of individual MPs, the spectrum of opinions, coalition and opposition stand. In the center of the chandelier, a solid, stable, not moving part can be seen. It gets thinner from the top to the bottom. It should remind all of us that the draft act is getting thinner and thinner as it improves. At the bottom of this artwork, one can see the dominant part. It embodies the final version of the legal norm.
Ktorá vlastne je taká dominantná, predstavuje ten výsledný návrh zákona.
The chandelier was designed and processed to fit the premises of the Slovak Parliament by the Slovak designer Asko Žáčko. At the end of our short tour around the Parliament, we can add a brief statistic. The director of the Parliamentary Institute, Ľubomír Fajták, has been working here for over 20 years.
Za 6 volebných období bolo schválených 2000 až 2000.
Within the 6 election terms, up to 2,200 laws have been approved. All debates are recorded in a paper document. In a 6-term period, it becomes more than 700 archive meters long. If we would lay the paper piece by piece, we would build an over 700-meter high tower, which is more than the 160-story Burj Khalifa in Abu Dhabi, or it equals 3 times the height of the TV tower standing atop the Kamzik Hill in Bratislava.
Tomorrow we'll present you an analysis of the situation in Slovak politics, economy and social systems shortly ahead of the 2016 election.
Radio Slovakia International. Slovakia Today. Making Slovakia heard to the world.
Slovak Philharmonic Choir is known for its reputation.
Member of the alto section of the choir, Natalia Dadíková, introduces us to the story full of beauty and success.
Everybody knows that it's the choir that for almost 30 years sings in Vienna State Opera or was part of many productions in Salzburg Festival, which is like a Mount Everest of all the musical festivals in the world. So I think the very strong moment when you decide whether to join this choir is its international reputation.